All right, we're talking unit conversions. We're going to do this quite a bit with degrees to radians, so let's just get into it. So we're going to convert my age to seconds. Well, I'm 34 years old, so we want to get this down to seconds. So we're going to get smaller, so we want to figure out what units are smaller than years. Well, days are smaller than years. So we can multiply this by a fraction, and this fraction equals 1 because it has the same value on top and bottom, right? 365 days and 1 year are equal to each other. So I'm not really changing this value, I'm just changing its units. So I'm multiplying 34 years times 365 days over 1 year. So I'm going to cancel out years because years divided by years equals nothing. And now I have 34 times 365. So then to get from days to hours, let's do 24 hours in 1 day. So then days cancel out, and we have years are canceled out and days are canceled out, so now we're to hours. Okay, so let's multiply this by minutes. There are 60 minutes in 1 hour. So hours cancel out, and we're at minutes. Now we finally just need to get down to seconds. There are 60 seconds in 1 minute. So minutes cancel out, and we get all the way down to our seconds. So to do this, we multiply this by this, by this, by this, by this. And we look and see what units we end up with. Well, we had years, but they're canceled out, and we had days, they're canceled out. We had hours, they're canceled out. We had minutes. So the only units that we have not canceled out yet are seconds. So our answer would be in seconds. And then we multiply across the bottom. This times this times this times this times this. Now, of course, in this specific scenario, they're all 1. So we're not going to have a number on the bottom. It's just going to be 1. And all of our units have canceled out as well, so we have nothing on the bottom. So basically, all we do is multiply those through, and you figure out how many seconds old I am. It's a gigantic number. Surprise, surprise. Okay. Let's convert 500 meters per second to miles per hour. So first we write this down. 500 meters per means a fraction bar, 1 second, okay? So when you hear miles per hour, that means miles goes on top and hour goes on bottom of the fraction, okay? So let's start with meters. Actually, let's convert seconds first, okay? So we want to get to the next bigger thing that we know is minutes. So in 1 minute, see, I almost messed up. There are 60 seconds. So we put seconds on top. Why? Well, because we want to cancel seconds out. We want seconds to go away, and we want to be left with minutes. So now let's see, what can we get bigger from minutes? Well, we can go to hours. There are 60 minutes in 1 hour. Minutes are going to cancel out. Now we're at, if you look, we're at meters, because there's nothing else on top, per hour. Meters per hour. That's what we're at right now, okay? So now let's try to get rid of our meters. So we could go to centimeters because we know how to convert centimeters. All right, so how many centimeters are there in a meter? Well, there are 100 centimeters in 1 meter. So meters is on top, which means we want meters on bottom and 100 centimeters on top. So meters is going to cancel out. We're at centimeters. Now we know centimeters to inches. There are 2.54 centimeters in 1 inch, so we can say 1 inch on top and 2.54 centimeters on bottom. Those can cancel out. Now we know that there are 12 inches in a foot. So we want inches on bottom, 12 inches, 1 foot, cancel out inches, and finally there are 5,280 feet in a mile. So 1 mile on top and 5,280 feet on bottom. So feet cancel out. And what we're left with is 500 times 60 times 60 times 100 times 1 times 1 times 1 on top. And then we have 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 2.54 times 12 times 5,280 on bottom. And then we just divide those numbers from each other, and that will give us our final answer. And then if we look at our units, we find the units that didn't cancel out. Beep, 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 beep. Ah, there they are, miles. And then let's see on the bottom, the only unit that didn't cancel out on the bottom is miles per hour. So our final answer is going to be in miles per hour. All right, one more conversion. Let's do tons to grams. So we know 17 tons. Well, we know there are 2,000 pounds in 1 ton. Okay, so tons cancel out. And then we know there are, in 1 pound, there are 454 grams. So 454 grams, again, that goes on top because we want pounds to cancel out on bottom in 1 pound. So pounds cancel out, tons have canceled out. Now to find your final answer, you just multiply across. 17 times 2,000 times 454, that's going to be another huge number, and that is how many grams there are in 17 tons.